I love animals. Well, most animals. I don't trust cats. They're up to something. I have a few pets. I bring this up because today's video is about absolutely none of them. It was a few years ago. My family and I were working in our backyard. I don't particularly remember what we were doing, probably painting our fence or something. It's not really important. My mom was in the garage, my dad was in the house, and my twin sister and I were in the yard. All was going well. I mean, as well as unpaid child labor can go. When all of a sudden, my mom shouted, "There's something back here, like a raccoon or something." Now, to a teenage Jacob who had never seen a raccoon in his life, this was a very exciting prospect. So I began to walk to the garage. Well, walk is an understatement. I began to run, but I only got about a step or two before this thing came bolting into our yard. To explain how fast the little dude was going, he came from the alley, through the garage and into the yard, and my mother only reacted once he was already in the backyard. The little dude was now in our backyard, burning rubber, running in circles, and knocking over paint cans, generally just causing chaos. But he wasn't a raccoon, or at least not like any raccoon I'd ever seen. Warranted, I'd never seen a raccoon. It was this chubby little pug that was extremely excited to see us. I had never seen this dog before in my entire life, but similarly to him, I was very excited. Now, in retrospect, what I did next probably wasn't the best idea, but I was a stupid teenager. I started to pet the little dude. He was extremely friendly. He let us pet him and play with him. He even let us pick him up. And to my sister and I, this was like a gift from God. A few years prior, our dog had passed away, and we very much so wanted another. So boom, easy. We just had a dog hand-delivered to us. But my parents were not on board with this plan. Don't get me wrong though, they totally joined in on playing with the dog, but after a little while, my dad decided it was time for the little dude to go home. But where was his home? Our immediate thought was the lady who lived up the street with an absurd amount of dogs. Now, I'm not sure how it works in other places, but in the city I live in, you have to register your dog, and you can only have 3 dogs registered to a property. You don't have to register cats though, and you can have as many as you want, which just results in the neighborhood being completely overrun with cats. But that's beside the point. This lady had at least 10 dogs. So my dad and my sisters took the dog and went to her house, while I stayed behind with my mom, trying to convince her to let us keep the little dude. While discussing the advantages of keeping the little man with my mom, we heard somebody in the alley shouting. They were calling, "Dorito, come here, Dorito." I don't know if she was actually saying Dorito, because in retrospect, that's a bit of an odd name for a dog, but there was a Super Bowl ad involving Doritos that was surrounding a pug, so at the same time it would make sense, but I also named my bird Filbert just because it was the most human sounding name I could think of, so my mom went and explained the situation to her, and against the advice my sisters and I gave to them, they returned the dog. And that was it. I never heard or saw from Dorito again. He could still be living in the neighborhood, or he could be living in another country. I have no idea.